Before I start this video, before I start everything, I want to shout out to Brian Solange. Um, he pretty much came up with this concept. I didn't come up with this by myself, but I kind of seen it go on. So I'm gonna talk about this. Um, Everything he said in this video, I'm gonna put his video in the description where he talk about how black men are always gonna be controlled by black women, even if they don't, you know, even if they say they don't like black women, but they can't survive without black women. Um, yeah, he pretty much said a lot in that video, and I'm gonna put it in the description. Now, let me start my video with, pretty much how black women want black men to be for them, and the different types of men they want, and the different types of men they would rather put in a camp. They want to implement many different things to black men that they don't find attractive. They want to bring back the camps that we all seen in Germany. I'm not gonna say it because even if I'm gonna have a low bit of numbers, I might still get they might try to take it down. But I was on a live stream when I saw Obsidian on there, right? And they were just bad mouthing Obsidian, and they was bad mouthing Babatunde. I don't know why these two was on their panels, and their channels are toxic with a bunch of feminists and bitter behind females. So I looked in the chat and I kept looking at certain comments and what they were saying, and all these women were saying how people are mad because these lames and these guys who don't get women are mad because they don't have social skills and they don't have charisma or confidence. And that's kind of the same talking point as these PUAs and the kind of guys that on channels. And then when I saw Brian Solange's video, I said, damn, he was right. But at least somebody with better higher number actually said it, so I can pretty much say it. They work. I said this in one of my other videos. They work side by side, but I didn't know how messed up they really wanted. I didn't know how messed up they really seen the guys they don't find desirable. You never seen black men tell all the unattractive women that they don't need to have kids, or they should be put into a camp, or we should shut off their vaginas so they don't never have pleasure, or we should cut off their clitoris. You never hear black men say these kind of things to black women, but on these panels you hear black women say all these derogatory things about black men. You hear them say that these ugly, unattractive men, they shouldn't be happy because they're ugly, or they try to make us into what they perceive as attractive, even though the people they find attractive have destroyed the community. Also, they haven't done anything for the community in the last 20 or 30 years, and they haven't been moving in this community based off this matriarchy. The black community hasn't moved an inch. And with the Nipsey Hussle situation and how they pushed him up, I'm starting to see that they want certain black men they don't find attractive to become their slaves. They want slavery to come back, where they are the slave masters, where they can tell any man they want who's unattractive to go out with any woman they pick. They won't care about the man's suicide if the person is depressed to be around that unattractive female. They don't care if the guy is ragged or done. The men they don't find attractive should always be workhorses, and they should always shut up and have no voice. It's all over YouTube. You see it when they talk about it, and the guys work alongside them. And then you see guys like an Obsidian and all these other men who say that self-improvement, but then they brag about when they can't find a female, they have sex with a lower tier female that they concede as a lower tier female, and they don't figure that makes the dating scene a lot worse than it is for the guys that they consider under them. If you give unattractive women sexual attention and sexual pleasure, they don't have no incentive to get better in their position. And this is the reason why these women get to stay in the position they are, and they think that being fat is something that every black man wants, because the best looking black men and the sexually highest value black men, having sex with them and making them feel like that they should never change. This is why you see a whole bunch of black women who are very unattractive, either fat or super overweight, women in wheelchairs, women with one eye, crackheads, mentally ill women. All of them seem to be having kids by the same type of guys who come on social media and try to spit game to these guys and tell them that they have to clean up their mess and also fix themselves up so they can give all of their hard work to the women that they had sex with easily. And it's a cycle of slavery. These men want to sell you stuff so they can get money from you and tell you to take these women, for you to be these women's slave. So they want the return of what slavery originally was, but with the Africans. It comes back to this theory that I have about black people have a cursed DNA, and some of our true characteristics come out in our DNA, and our true personalities of what we had in the past come out in the present, where Africans, everybody know that Africans sold what you know now as African Americans to white people. This is why we have African Americans here, and you still have Africans over there. Because if white people really went to Africa and cleared out everybody in that country, then they wouldn't have any people over there, and they wouldn't still have the tribes. So the African Americans are the outcasts of the Africans. And you have these people in the United States advocating that we go back to a country who pretty much disowned us and sold us to the white man. And now they're paying the price for what they did to the ones that they feel like they were outcasted. The people that they outcasted and sold to white people. Well, Europeans back the time. So this is what black women want to do to the guys that they call the nerds and the lames. They don't want to sell us off to another race. They want to keep us for themselves, but they want to restrict and take away all our rights. We can't talk to them because they think they're better than us. We can't talk to them because they think that we don't have social skills to talk to them. So they want to close all the men that they don't find attractive or they don't like, and the men that work their ass off, or even the men who they don't really like. They want these guys to clean their cars, to clean out their houses. They're advocating new age slavery for black men, but not for all, but for the ones they don't like. Hear the videos Listen to these women speak about the men they don't find attractive. Listen to how dehumanizing that they don't like certain guys, and how much they don't think that these guys that they don't like, who don't do nothing to them, they don't matter, and they don't think they're human. They don't think that guys like myself or anybody else are human to them. So they want to take away our rights to be even human, because they don't find us attractive, or we don't talk like they talk, or we don't walk like they walk. So they want to just grab us out of a basement or a camp and make us work and do what they say, and that's all it is. And they hate the fact that certain brothers, I don't like using a brother thing because I don't even think we all related, but as a term, they think all the brothers that they don't find attractive, or they think that are useless, they don't think that they're human anymore. You see it and you hear it in them. You see you hear, guys in the conditioning of this slavery has already been done. They are in the final stages of their slavery, their new age slavery. You know why? Because the black manosphere, it's already gone. It's already dead. It ain't getting any bigger than YouTube. Why? Because the figureheads in the black manosphere are not putting and promoting new people in the black manosphere. They're not putting a black person who's teaching other people new languages. They always talk about self-improvement, but why don't they grab somebody and make a channel of somebody who can speak different languages and teach black men how to speak different languages? Why don't they have a gaming channel for black men? Why don't they have an anime channel for black men, or a comic book channel for black men, or a alternative entertainment for black men? It's always the same shit. And we see guys like O'Shea talking and being friends with women who are belittling black men, and they call it a expansion. But then these are the same people who get mad at any other black man who expand themselves in other races and leave the black community behind and grab Asian dollars or Latino dollars or white dollars, and then join the other side and says, this is more of a community than my own. And they wonder why a lot of people leave the black manosphere. The black manosphere has now become the stomping ground for black women. And this is working very well for black women, because now they got new pets and new slaves and new drones and new figureheads for themselves, instant figureheads. Because O'Shea automatically makes and belittles black men. Guys who want to come on his hangout who nobody knows, he belittles them and calls them the N-word. But he allows a Paris Milan to go and set her rhetoric. He doesn't have an extra channel or two extra channels for black men who want to get put on in the black manosphere and have a shot. Like, kind of like a comedy club. Huh? Like, why do I have the kind of ideas and he doesn't? And he says he's helping he helped the black manosphere. Why don't you have something like a comedy club, but in aspects of having certain people on YouTube have a platform for a certain amount of time and a topic, and they talk about the topic, and have people in the chat box say, give them a yes or no for them to keep talking. Kind of like an audience and a comedian. I'm not finding the words because I'm trying to end this video super fast. He doesn't do that. He's a slave of black women now because he works with black women and he takes their dollars. See, the money. See, black women now control black men through finance now. See, a guy like O'Shea is now controlled by the dollars. So that's his chain that he got from black women. Reason why he has a lot of subscribers and a lot of people in his chat box and a lot of people in his Patreon, because it's a lot of black women. And him saying he's a businessman is just a scapegoat saying, I don't need black men to support me because they're not believing me anymore. So now, as I said, black women are now trying to rein in as many black men as they possibly can, but they have a short leash. They have a short chain on some of these brothers that they control. They just, the brothers thinking they're free, but they're not. Because if you take black women money and support, you are their slaves. You're not independent because you can't speak about them in a bad manner. You got to let them on your panels. You got to collude with them. You have to go back and forth with them. That is the financial slavery. The mental slavery is a lot of men who you see in the black manosphere. On one topic, they're talking about black women. And in the next topic, they're defending black women. So you see how psychologically chained up they are to these women. Even if they're dating another race, they will say, well, not all black women are bad, but not all of them are good. See, these guys wasn't smart enough to say, I have a ranking system, kind of like what I do. See, for some reason, I'm always putting the good ideas out there, and some people taking them and some people not. But I have a ranking system based off what I see, what I hear, what I look at. I look in every nook and cranny on the internet and see if black women are different and not, and in real life as well. And my ranking with them is they're on the bottom. They're on the top bottom. They're not even on they are very on the bottom of my highest list, on my list of race of women. They're on the bottom. And they can't improve that ranking in my mind because it's too many of them that does the same shit. I don't believe the good ones when they say they're good, because they always try to scapegoat and try to become like they different. But then you see some men out here who pretty much admit that they are shallow and they have to change some of it. But they always put it out there like, I have to have an incentive for me to date someone like that who looks like that. But with these women, they will lie and say, well, I don't like that type of guy. But then you will see them in another chat typing and saying how gorgeous somebody is. See, these women, they're using different tactics, but it's the same programming they want men to keep being on this plantation. And even the men who complain about the women are giving them a leeway and telling them and saying, oh, they are not all bad. And they bring them on their panels and they're jumping on females' panels and they're just colluding with them and being around them and doing all that. And it's like, wow, like, you seriously? And they believe their words. Like, I seen Obsidian believe a Nicole Michelle. Like she really tells the truth. The video that I put out about her being the exposed, Nicole Michelle exposed, already showed that she believed in beta bucks and she believed alpha fucks beta bucks. And they all want to act like she's different. Same thing with Erica Williams. Yeah, she talk about finance, but she pretty much try to promote men to go to look for this magical woman based off her experience in Houston. And she tries to tell men to get money so they can take care of what? So they can be in a status to take care of women. And she tries to put them and tell them that they big booty Brenda, and they like big booty Brenda because she's overweight. But then I always ask myself about the Erica Williams is, why you that big when you got so much money? Why can't you just get a gastric bypass surgery and then you'll be able to lose that weight? Why can't you change that? But you go to all these events and all this other stuff and you're talking about money, but you don't want to put money onto improving your own self. And this is what I'm saying. They all got this kind of slave. They got this slave mentality where certain guys should know not to believe none of these females at face value. Put them through a vetting process where they have to prove to you without a shadow of doubt that they are different, not just with words, but with actions. And they have to keep that up. But these guys are playing into the hands of these women and they are winning. And this is the new age slavery that these women have. They won. They got all their slaves. The only thing they need is for the men they want to try to get the men they don't want to come back to the community to do their dirty work. That's the last phase of their new age slavery. Because, in America, they are not gonna give a green light for black women to try to do that kind of stuff to black men in America. I don't think so. No. But they metaphorically castrated a lot of guys in the black community they don't like. They just didn't do it physically. And they sexually starve the guys they don't want. So these guys will come back and take anything that they give out so they can promote this black family. So they want guys to be unhappy. They want the guys to commit suicide from them being unhappy with an unattractive female. And they want a lot of guys to die from overworked and being burnt out just to work for a community that is never going to get better. They want that. That is their that is the future they want. And the pushback you're seeing in the online and in YouTube, it's not really pushback. It's entertainment to them. I'm starting to see that these conversations don't go nowhere. We had like millions and millions of debates. They had the millions and millions of debates about the Pookie and the Ray Ray. And then we go back to the same kind of thing, like a whole bunch of, all I'm looking at is a bunch of robots saying the same crap over and over again. And I'm starting to look at it like, wait, this is the behind all of these conversations, there's women behind it just giggling it up and then saying the same things. They all say the same crap about black men who they don't find attractive. And then they always try to find a weasel their way out of the choices they make when they fuck up and get messed up by the guys they do find attractive. So it's a two-way thing where they want the guys they don't want to come back, but they want the guys they do want to become a little bit better. And they want the guys they don't want to either be a tool or be a metaphorical meal for these guys they like to feed their egos. I mean, you starting to see it now that they want, they have this new age slavery, and it's not finished yet, but they have it now. where these guys are creating channels and saying the points of these women, where they are always left out of the self-improvement talk. They're always left out of the get better talk. They always out of the build something talk or the support talk. They're always left out of all these talks because now they control the men. They control portion of the black men with sex, and they control most of the portion of the black men with money, a financial slave and a sexual slave. And the only men they don't have in their collection, in their slave trade, is the men. They don't know how to rein in the unattractive men, because the unattractive men are now going around talking about alternatives, and they don't want the unattractive men to leak in other communities. They don't want the other men to say, I'm not a part of this, and be alone, because they feel like that these guys don't deserve to be happy. They're not human, and they're just their slaves for them to either be clowned on or to be abused by both the man and the women. Black women have now reached their final plan to put black men in slavery. And I want everybody to start paying attention to what these women say. Look at the comments. Look at what these men say. You're going to have the same talking points with men and women. Black men and black women. The same talking points. You're going to see it. And then you're going to see the way they talk about certain guys. And then you will see that I'm right. They want slavery to come back for their advantage. They want slavery to come back because what they want is total obedience. They want certain men to do everything and anything without compensation, without anything. And I'm gonna keep. That's all I could say, man. And when you start delving into these females' minds and the way they talk, you notice just how dark and demonic and sick they really are. They have programmed a generation of weak men to obey them. And even if the men fight back, they're still programmed to a point where you would still see guys dealing with them instead of just throwing them away and saying, I'm going to be by myself. I'm going to build my own platform without them. I'm not going to even let them on my panels. I'm not even going to speak to them. A lot of men are just so programmed, and they're mental slaves, sexual slaves, and financial slaves, that they will always be this way until they're gone. And the men who not like that, they find themselves having to support their own self or get support from other races of men. And it's sad that you can't trust your own, because they might turn on you for money, or turn on you for sex, or turn on you because they think that the women could be saved. But on the other side, the women, they already made their decisions. The good ones already made their decisions. The messed up ones already made their decisions. And they all look at each other and put thumbs ups, and then act like they're different, and they scatter around, and they send signals to each other to know that I got my slave, I got my group of slaves, I got my group of slaves, We got our group of slaves, and then eventually they talk behind the scenes on how many men they have as slaves and how many men they don't have as slaves. So, man, this has been going on for too long, 30 minutes. So I'm gonna stop it right here. Just think about it, man. Look around YouTube, look around social media, and do your own little experiments and see what these women, how these women view you, and how the men view you as well. That are in their favor and at the advantage.